Come on! Football!
All right, welcome into Purple Daily. Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff producing, and our guest, Courtney Cronin from ESPN.com. Don't forget, tomorrow you can find Vikings Vent Line as part of the Purple Daily podcast umbrella of amazing award-winning content. I don't know what awards we've won, but maybe someday. We are the most interactive show in Minnesota sports with Vikings Vent Line, and that we bring you guys, Vikings fans, into the video with us. If you miss it ever, you can find it in audio form too on any podcast platform, Apple, Spotify, scorenorth.com. But everyone, this is the weekly confidence, concerns, curiosities episode. So Dex, let's fire up some appropriate music. And we'll start with Courtney Cronin. The thing, now this is the game this is like the no-brainer game of the year so far, which usually means something's like they're going to be down by 20 points early. The thing you're most confident in against the Jaguars on behalf of the Vikings.
I'm confident in Kirk Cousins. Like, I really am. These are bad teams that they've had back to back to back. They should have beaten Dallas, but this is a stretch of their schedule that initially, when we were looking at like how this whole thing might play out during the preseason, that this was supposed to be where they're hitting their stride and that they're really taking off and getting, themselves in good position for the playoffs. I am confident they will get back to 500 or get to 500, not back because they've never been there for the first time this season, with Kirk Cousins having another really good day like he had last week against the Carolina Panthers. I don't think it's going to require a fourth quarter game-winning drive, fourth quarter comeback, but I do think that he will be able to get Justin Jefferson and get Adam Thielen the share of their targets that they need in order for this offense to succeed, not having to rely entirely on Dalvin Cook.
I'm confident that no matter what path the Vikings choose offensively, they can run, they can pass backwards, they can long snap the entire game, that they're going to have success against a Jacksonville team that just fired its GM. Its head coach, Doug Marrone, is on life support as far as his professional career goes. Jacksonville's defense, not that long ago, really good, right?
Yeah, like 3 years ago.
Yeah, really good. They are 29th against the pass. They are 29th against the run in, by the way, a 32-team league, and they are 30th in points surrendered at 29.5 per game. I am confident that the Vikings could basically send their JV squad out there on offense. I mean, you start Sean Mannion,
careful what you wish for.
Iowa. I don't care who you start. You're going to score points.
Dude, I just want to make sure, Dex, that you've captured everything that's been said in the last 3 minutes for when the Vikings somehow lose this game to Mike Glennon, and we can just, all of us can, because I'm going to say the same thing. Yeah. The thing that I'm the most confident in. I'm going to start with Aaron Rodgers' career statistics, okay? And you'll just follow me here for a second, all right? Aaron Rodgers' career passer rating, 103.3. Jaguars this season are allowing opposing quarterbacks a 106.3 passer rating. Aaron Rodgers in his career is averaging 270 yards passing per game. That's funny. The Jaguars are giving up 280 yards passing per game this year. And let's see, the Jaguars are giving up a 6% touchdown rate, which is exactly Aaron Rodgers' career touchdown rate. The Jaguars have turned all of the opposing quarterbacks collectively into Aaron Rodgers' career. So if you're not throwing for 300 yards
Start
and
Nate
3
Stanley,
touchdowns,
that's what you're
something
saying.
is wrong.
Start Nate Stanley. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone just stole all the confidence here, right? Like, I'm not falling into this trap game mess. I would love to be exposed here in 48 hours. Like, I'm totally okay with that. But Jacksonville's just putrid across the football over everywhere. And as Phil now just pointed out, they're literally making everyone look like Aaron Rodgers, and they played Baker Mayfield last week. I mean, they've played some good quarterbacks too, absolutely, like Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson.
Baker Mayfield missed like 5 wide open touchdown passes and still put up ridiculous numbers.
If Baker Mayfield is looking like that against this defense, Kirk Cousins should have an absolute field day. The Vikings should steamroll.
All right, Courtney, the thing that you are the most concerned about.
What's your concern?
Well, they opened up as 9.5-point favorites at home. And I remember when I tweeted that out on Sunday night, there were a lot of people being like, this is Buffalo. This has Buffalo written all over it again. Do I think it's going to be that bad even if it is a close game? No. But I am kind of curious. I mean, for all the jokes that we're making, Cleveland nearly lost that game last week. Green Bay got played really tough the Jaguars were on the road, and that was actually a decent game. What would go wrong here to make that a close game? That's kind of what I'm concerned about. Are we seeing something, the defense looked pretty good against Carolina, and they only gave up 13 points. The other two were off turnovers. If that same type of thing happens, where it's another fumble from Kirk Cousins, if he gets strip sacked, if Dalvin Cook, fumbles again, like a stretch like that against this team, which has shown, they're terrible and they should really be tanking, and everybody's going to be gone at the end of the year anyways from the coaching staff because they want Trevor Lawrence and what have you. If there is a stretch of play like that, because they almost didn't overcome it against Carolina, that game should not have been 28-27, and it was. Can they do that 2 weeks in a row? Can they, and that would require Kirk Cousins to go win the game for you. Can he do that 2 weeks in a row? That's what I'm concerned about.
Well, let's see. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Okay, let's go to the defensive side of the ball where the Vikings really aren't that good. And then let's consider Jacksonville's run game. And I give you undrafted rookie James Robinson, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The third leading rusher. And this, again, ladies and gentlemen, is why you can find guys that can run the football. He is the third leading rusher in the National Football League with 890 yards on the season. The Vikings are 19th against the run, giving up 120.7 yards per game. Robinson has 4 100-yard rushing games this season, including 128 on 22 carries last week against Cleveland. I will tell you, Courtney, exactly what can go wrong or could go wrong. The Jaguars exposed the Vikings run defense for not being very good. And now you've got problems because now Zim freaks out and puts a priority on trying to stop the run. And Mike Glennon, he of the greatest pencil neck since Merton Hanks, starts to pick you apart offensively. So
Merton Hanks reference,
Merton
man.
Hanks.
Oh,
Mike
man.
Okay, Google pictures of Merton Hanks
Google Merton
and
Hanks
Mike
neck.
Glennon.
Merton Hanks neck.
And you will see two of the greatest pencil necks of all time. My point being is, I think the answer to Courtney's question is the run defense could struggle, and that would actually provide a problem.
Oh my God, his neck is very long.
Pencil neck's great, man.
Can you pop something up on
Merton Hanks had one of the great necks of all time, but Glennon's neck is incredible.
It looks photoshopped. Like, it's weird. Like, looking at his photo, it's just
Merton Hanks was good too. San Francisco defensive back, really good.
And with those, like that, the Niners, 94, 95, I think he was on the Super Bowl team in the mid 90s.
He was, yeah.
And he would wear with that bright red jersey and those white. Wasn't he like high up in the league too at one point, Merton Hanks?
Yes, he was. He worked in the league at one point. But anyway, if you look at Merton Hanks' neck and Glennon's neck, they're two of the greatest necks of all time. There's so much neck there.
There is.
Don't worry about it.
It's like a leg.
Because I want to. All right, I'm going to bring it back to reality a little bit here from the thing that I was most confident in. Like, I'm confident that the Vikings should absolutely put up points and move the ball through the air, etc. What I would be a little bit concerned about, if I'm the Vikings here, of the 10 losses for the Jaguars, 5 of them have come by 1 score or less, including a couple closer games. Now, I guess I haven't gone through and seen like in a game that they lost by 7, where they really down by 30, and like but the final scores haven't been as disastrous in 5 out of their 10 losses, and in 4 of their last 5 games, all losses, they've scored 20 points or more. There's probably some garbage time in there, but if you're the Vikings, you're probably going to have to score like, 24, 27, 30 points if you want to distance yourself from this Jaguars team. So I could see like a 30-20 situation where
I think that was actually my final score that I picked, 30-20 or 31-20. Mm-hmm.
Cover the spread narrowly, something like that. So, all right, the thing that you're most curious about, Courtney Cronin.
So I know that I could pick special teams here, but I'll leave that up to Judd because I'm sure he has something. Like the Dalvin Cook thing, I feel like a broken record because I harp on this every single week. And what is it going to take? Because, they stopped the run last week. I mean, he had no rushing touchdowns. The first time in a while that he hasn't had at least like 1 touchdown in a game. And he had 61 rushing yards. I mean, like, it was not a good performance all things considered for Dalvin Cook, who's used to dominating teams. In this final stretch, you've got 5 games left. There's to be one marquee win. Like, you have to either beat Tampa Bay or you have to beat the Saints in order to up your playoff chances. Like, I know right now they're at like 24 to 26%, depending upon whose projections you look at. But like, if they want to be if they want to get like the 7th seed, they have to win this game, and they have to knock Tampa Bay off next week. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that if Dalvin Cook is worn down to a point where he's not the same version of himself that he was earlier this season. And there's no indication that he's not. They just stopped the run last week. I just worry about the injuries, and I worry about and not even just like that he's injury prone or whatever people want to label him as. It's just the fact that it's December. Like, you know what happens with Derrick Henry in December? He only gets better. The last 2 years, he's rushed for 500 yards or more in the month of December. That has not been the case for Dalvin Cook. So it's apples to oranges. I want to see the Vikings actually rely heavily on both Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, but also incorporating the tight ends in there. I mean, Kyle Rudolph, I don't know if Irv Smith's ever going to play again this season at this rate. I mean, he's missed games and he's now got a back injury. I don't know what it is, but something in me tells me he might be out beyond this week because whatever it is doesn't seem to be getting better. Kyle Rudolph's a really good option in the absence of Irv Smith, and he's a good receiving threat for Kirk Cousins in short yardage situations. Obviously, if he could find him in the end zone, he's a big deal there too. So go through other channels, and I want to see if Mike Zimmer can concede to that a little bit and actually believe that that's the way that you can win games. I'm curious if that's the case, if they're just going to try to ride Dalvin Cook for all he's worth.
All right, I'll bite. Special teams. Can we please go through an entire game? And look, they blocked a kick last week. I get that. But can we just please go through an entire game where Chris Boyd does not draw a flag on a punt by either freaking out because it's a fake punt or trying to block a guy in the back when it's not necessary? Can we go through a game, Courtney, without BB muffing a punt, or if Osborne's not going to play? I mean, honest to God, no bad long snaps. Can we just get through a normal, ordinarily you go to a game and you think, you know what, special teams, probably boring. Time to go to the bathroom or go get a Coke or something, right? Can we just have that game from the Vikings on Sunday? Nothing. They don't need to return anything for a touchdown. They don't need to do something really well. They just need to. And look, here's the thing that just astounds me. These special teams goofs, right? Mm-hmm. For the most part, I think across the board, since they've started, these goofs have not involved one blocked or missed kick by Dan Bailey. Like, that used to be the problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
They missed an extra point. Think about this.
They've had years where the punter didn't kick a touchback all year, but the kicker can't make an extra point. And now it's like Dan Bailey's been pretty damn reliable, and they can't even snap it right.
Chris Boyd penalties, and we're talking about, muffed punts. Can we just have an ordinary special teams game?
No, not with this franchise. Nope. The thing I'm the most curious about is actually nothing to do with this game, so I'm going to cheat here because the Vikings are going to win this game. I'm curious about the Cardinals-Rams game because that is the game that has the most impact on the Vikings' path to the playoffs. The Rams are 2.5-point favorites going into Phoenix for that game against the Arizona Cardinals, who are 6-5. So if the Cardinals lose to the Rams, as they are on schedule to do, that should be a good close game. But I think the Rams win that game, and the Vikings take care of business. Then those two teams will be tied at 6-6. Now, the 49ers have just been this ragtag bunch with injuries. They're also 5-6, along with the Vikings. I'm not even counting the Bears here. They play Monday night against the Bills, who are 8-3, but it's a home game for San Francisco. I can't get San Francisco plays hard, ton of injuries. It wouldn't shock me if they won that game, but I'm more interested and curious in scoreboard watching than I am in what's going to happen here.
This is what Zim fears.
You can play all of this back on Monday if and when the Vikings lose.
See, you just looked past the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I'm not going to fearmonger on behalf of the Vikings here. Take care of business if you're a pro team and you want to go to the playoffs. That's how if that's how you view yourself, that's how I will treat you this week. And if that changes, then we can address it on Monday. Declan?
Yeah, I'm most curious on just Alexander Madison's input into this game. I mean, for the last few weeks, he just has 2 1 and 2 touches in the last 3 weeks, respectively. He's getting no time. And if you're the Vikings and you get up big against Jacksonville and you are up, let's say 21-3 at halftime, Just rest Dalvin Cook. Let Alexander Madison get the bulk of the carries in the second half. I just don't understand. If you're already making comments too, like Gary Kubiak talking about the workload and he's getting banged up, this is the perfect time to put in Alexander Madison, who's just not just a backup. He's a starting caliber running back. So get him some touches. I want to see what he does against Jacksonville.
Amen. So we're just guaranteed that Mike Glennon daggers the Vikings in the final 30 seconds there.
I love that. I just love the neck.
And these goofs.
I love the neck. It just sort of flops around because his neck so big.
Courtney, now that Kirk Cousins has become Patrick Mahomes in many statistical categories, are you going with Dr. Dagger or fourth quarter Pharaoh for Kirk Cousins?
Are those like floating around right now, or did you come up with those?
Because now Phil's a big Kirk Cousins apologist and fan.
What about the late game luminary? How does that one sit?
You know, I'm all for good alliteration. That works for me. I'll go with that one.
You're at the wrong station with that one.
I'm here for, I think, Dr. Dagger. Especially if he daggers the wanted dagger. All right, that's a wrap on this episode of Purple Daily.
Thank God. Not a moment too soon.
We'll see you guys for Ventline tomorrow. Check out Courtney Cronin's Vikings coverage on ESPN.com. See you guys.